AskReddit by Chiffatog. What is the most obvious sign a couple won't last long? I always find couples who post about how much they love each other on social media break up pretty quick. I'm not talking about like one post but the excessive ones. Recent example being a girl I know who posted probably every other day about how this guy's her world, she'd be lost without him, she misses him when he's not there, etc. They were together about 3 months total. I just find it so obvious. I think these people just have a very specific idea about the relationship they want to have, and so they dump all that shit on their next partner and just play the part until it all collapses. Their communication just doesn't improve over time. Being in my first real healthy relationship, I've realized that both people need to be committed to their individual and collective growth to create a fulfilling, healthy relationship. If one or both people aren't trying and make a habit of withholding their true thoughts and make no effort to make the small changes to eventually meet the other halfway, it's inevitable. I actually found a healthy relationship by just being myself and not pretending to be someone else. Sure, I don't go all gross with her, but I mean she knows pretty much everything about me and seems to accept it all. That also takes a lot of stress away from me because I can just be myself. And the same goes with her. I'm not going to details, but she's not always the Hollywood idea of classy lady, and that's okay, and I kind of have learned to love those things that she doesn't do so ladylike. None of us are perfect, and the sooner we accept it the better we're. And heck, I guess I did something right because she married me. They casually show signs that they don't respect each other. It can be a lot of eye rolling, mocking, condescending laugh, casually saying you are so stupid, embarrassing in front of friends. The embarrassing in front of friends hits home for me. My ex would bring up things she knew I was just like not comfortable with, and would poke at it in front of people. And I felt like I didn't have a voice at all in saying, can you not, because then it's holy shit, I can't believe you're so sensitive about that. After I was married about 3 years, a co-worker that had been married for a few months asked how long we lasted before we ran out of stuff to talk about. I figured that was bad sign. While I agree with that in general, I think it's part of any healthy relationship that you are comfortable in silence with each other. When they act as though they don't like or respect you, and when you point that out they say you're being too sensitive. My ex said, I'm trying to toughen you up. Interesting, because I never asked for boxing coach for my emotions. Having a kid will bring us closer together and things will get better. I can't believe I had to scroll this far down for this. A fix a relationship baby is never the answer. When one person really wants a threesome and the other person really doesn't want a threesome. God, the stories I've read on here about how the relationship isn't the same after having a threesome, I don't think I could ever do one, and thankfully my partner isn't into it either. It made me have this conversation early on the relationship so I wouldn't have this problem after being together a while. See their conflict resolution process. The long-term conflict resolution process is also often ignored. It's not enough to resolve a fight in the moment. That can lead to growing levels of resentment over time, which is a very potent force that will eventually destroy a relationship. After a fight is resolved, there needs to be sincere mutual forgiveness. Bringing up old fights is very, very damaging. Once both people sincerely conclude conflict and sincerely agree it's resolved, that's it. It's in the bin. One does not listen when one talks. She gave me a bunch of crap about me not listening to her enough. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. Look at their face when they get a phone call from the other person. Tells you all you need to know. My husband I were climbing and he bailed in the middle of an attempt to go answer his phone, which was stashed with our shoes and stuff. I thought it was odd because he's generally pretty good about ignoring calls when he decides to unplug for a bit. Whatever, maybe important work call. He gets partway to the lockers and then stops, turns around, says I'm dumb, you're standing right here, and goes back to his problem. Found out on the way home, some other phone was apparently using my ringtone. I've been having a weird couple months and freely admit to crying like an idiot when I realized he immediately stopped what he was doing to answer because he thought it was me. When they fight with each other in a passive-aggressive way in front of friends. Went to this dinner once where the guy was showing off his new plasma TV, and it ended up with the girl throwing one of his awards into the TV to smash it. Really uncomfortable to be a guest there. Then there was that CD playing by her suspected younger lover. Scandalous. Attempting to transform the other person in its entirety. Never succeeds. Thinking I can change this person is a fool's errand that results in the Four Horsemen and the demise of the relationship. Google Four Horsemen relationships. Eerily predictive of relationship failure. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling, the Four Horsemen, https://www.gotman.com/the-4-horsemen-recognizing-criticism-contempt-defensiveness-and-stonewalling. Literally defines my parents' relationship. They are still together though. Read an article somewhere where responses to bids for attention are a huge indicator. Bidding and responding to bids are crucial to keeping things going. Some people poo-poo that as small talk, but the most successful pairs I've met talk about things that seem inconsequential all the time. One of the kids in my family, I remember this, was 14 or so and called up a girl and the whole conversation was about favorite kinds of breakfast cereal. The pauses indicated to me that he was listening to her when she talked. BTW, I was not sitting there with my hand cupped around my ear. He was next to me on the sofa while I was having coffee with his mom 30 years later. He's married to that cereal aficionado. My friend works in the wedding industry and said the couples who shove cake in each other's faces tend not to last. Edit, should have clarified. Only when it's clear it was not talked about beforehand. The cake shoving is a perfect example of a 2 yeses 1 no decision. Did you discuss it beforehand? Are you both on board with doing it, and how aggressively to do it? Then you'll probably be fine. Is one person totally opposed and has to be talked into it by the other, or have it simply done to them unwillingly? Doomed. I would say no emotional connection. Like the other person cannot trust you and tell you what he feels or what he's been through or deals with right now. And here, I understand that some people need their time to open up and find their own words to express their emotions. I'm one of them. But I'm referring to people who don't even try, even for small stuff. Just to give an example, normal day. You and your pal sit together. You ask them about some stuff that's been bothering him, cause you see him worried and sad. He doesn't say anything or that's nothing. This happens over and over again. Or you do SGH that your pal doesn't like, but he's not telling you. The only time you will hear what he didn't like in the relationship or what he didn't like about you will be in an argument or at the breaking point. 100%. This was my last relationship. Wouldn't tell me what he was bothered about until I bring up something I'm bothered about. I became hypervigilant to his emotions because I couldn't trust that he would tell me because he wouldn't. I ended it at a breaking point since it wasn't a way to live and didn't like myself in the relationship either. Disrespect. Lack of trust. Not necessarily about the big stuff, fidelity, money, your real name, but namely in basic, everyday communication. If one or both partners is constantly questioning what the other person meant, or are constantly looking for reasons to get offended or taken aback by what the other says, it doesn't bode well for the long-term prospects. As a witness, you can feel the underlying tension when they interact. The stress of it all usually leads to resentment and dissolution of the relationship. Couples who mistake infatuation for love. Honestly, who teaches the difference? They don't respect each other. One says sorry all the time and the other doesn't. Unless only one is Canadian. Honestly, I'm not sure I know anymore. I know couples who literally don't speak to each other about their day-to-day life and schedule, and yet they're still together. I know couples who never ever talk about the big questions in relationships but somehow manage to white-knuckle their way through it. I know couples who would openly disrespect their partner to their face in public and they still stayed together. I know couples like that in the first part of your comment. It's easy to do when you both have busy lives and have certain personalities. Their ability to apologize when they are wrong. Also one's ability to reconcile after blow-ups. Back in the day, joint Facebook accounts. If they are boomer age, it's forgivable. My girlfriend's parents still have the same joint AOL email account they made in the 90s. Different communication styles. One partner withdraws from conflict and stops communicating while the other partner wants reassurance and feels distressed and abandoned by communication withdrawal. 100% it's miserable.